Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, April the 21st. We got a big slate today. We got 12 games to break down. This is definitely going to be a pretty fun one. Lately, these big slates have been kind of crazy when it comes to late news. Today, I expect there to be a ton of news that comes out during the day. You know, the later we get into the season, just the more random news there's going to be, random guys resting. There's teams on back-to-back, so, you know, we're probably going to have guys rest today. There's going to be a lot of news that comes out throughout the day, but I'll give you guys my early thoughts on this slate. What does stand out to me looking at this slate on Tuesday night? We'll go through each game. You know, since we do have a lot of games to talk about, I don't want to waste too much time. I'm definitely going to try and go through games pretty quickly if I can. But before we do get started with the breakdown, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit the like button down below. And if you are new to the channel here, be sure to click that subscribe button as well. Click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Should it be live once again this afternoon around 4:30 Eastern Time. I'll be live on my YouTube channel breaking down the slate with you guys. If you do want to tune in, we can answer, all your questions in the live stream. We can talk through everything. Once again, if there's any news that comes out during the afternoon, we can touch on that, how it impacts the slate. We can do that in the live stream Wednesday afternoon. But yeah, guys, appreciate you watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's go ahead and take a look at this big slate. So we'll start off with the Bulls and Cavs game. Looking at the Bulls side here, there really isn't much that stands out from Chicago today. Like I said, guys, I'm going to try and go through these games quickly. The Bulls are not a team I really have a ton of interest in. If I had to play anyone on the Bulls, it would probably be Kobe White, just because he continues to start and get around 30 to 32 minutes a night with Zach LaVine out. They've been starting him over Tomas Satoransky, so if you do want to go with Kobe White here at 5,600, I think he's a fine option. There's probably going to be other guys that look better as the day goes on. There's probably going to be a bunch of good plays that open up, but Kobe White would probably be the guy I'd get to from Chicago. I don't see much else, though, outside of Kobe White that I'd be looking to on this Bulls team, or at least that really stands out. Now, on the Cleveland side, Cleveland's basically fully healthy, so really I don't like much on Cleveland either. Colin Sexton, is always fine for GPPs, but am I actually going to play Colin Sexton today? Probably not. Really, that just goes for all these Cleveland guys. Like, everyone on Cleveland feels appropriately priced. Nobody really stands out at their price point. Jared Allen, in a good matchup like this, you could maybe go to, but he just hasn't been that productive lately. The minutes haven't been as high as I would like. Yeah, I really don't like much from this game at all. If I had to play anyone here, it would definitely be Kobe White. Overall, this is a game I'm probably just going to be avoiding. There's a lot of better games today. This next one we're going to talk about, I really like. So, yeah, not much here. Next game, though, Golden State and Washington. Now, in Golden State, there's a good amount I do like on Golden State today. Curry in tournaments, I think, makes a lot of sense. 10,500, he is starting to get pretty expensive. He's priced up with a lot of the other studs like Westbrook, Jokic, Luka, Embiid, Towns in a good matchup. He's priced up with these guys, but obviously it is a great spot for Curry here against the Wizards. We know the Wizards play fast. They're not a good defensive team. Curry's been playing at such a high level lately, put up at least 60 DraftKings points in 4 of his last 5 games. He's just been scoring at will, just been going out there and chucking, taking 25, 30 shots a game. This feels like another spot where we could definitely get a big, 60 DK point game from Steph Curry. These teams did just play a couple weeks ago, and Curry did have 54 DK points in 35 minutes. Feels like, we probably get something close to that, if not, better. So definitely have interest in Curry as a pay-up option in a really good matchup. Draymond Green I also do have interest in at 7,100. Draymond's been a little bit up and down lately, but it's hard to argue with the upside that he has in a good matchup like this in what should be a fast-paced game. If we get 36, 37 minutes from Draymond here, he could put up, a big triple-double, could go for 45, 50 DK points, and I would not be surprised. So I do like Draymond, I do like Steph, but I'm probably not considering any other Warriors today outside of those two guys. Now on the Washington side, pretty easy to break down this Wizards team for me. It's really just Russell Westbrook. Bradley Beal I don't mind either, but Westbrook I think is really the guy that stands out from the Wizards. Just continues to produce on a nightly basis. Once again, another triple-double last game, another triple-double the game before that. The guy's just literally giving you, he's probably, in terms of floor, I feel like nobody in the league right now has a higher floor than Russell Westbrook. He's literally scored at least 50 DK points in 10 straight games. We know Westbrook has a 65, 70-point ceiling. I would say that Westbrook's, he's probably up there in terms of favorite stud options for me. There's a lot of ways you can go today. There's a lot of good mid-range options. Right now, there's not a ton of standout, like, cheap value. There's a couple guys I like for cheap, but, like Goga, he's questionable, so we don't even know if he's going to play. If he does play, though, I like him as a value. There's good value today. Right now, there's some value. If a lot of good value, though, opens up as the day goes on, then it'll probably turn into a stars and scrubs type of slate. If that does happen, and Westbrook is someone that we can pay up for, I think Westbrook's probably my favorite stud option overall on the board. He's just been so good. He's stuffing the stat sheet, literally puts up a triple-double almost every night. He gives you a 50 DK point floor, it feels like. I like Westbrook a lot today. I would say that he's one of my favorite studs on the board right now. But outside of Westbrook and maybe Beal, I'm not considering any other Wizards. I don't think so. Moving on to the next game, Brooklyn and Toronto. Now in Brooklyn, this is a tough team to break down right now just because we don't know who's going to be in or out for the Nets. We do know that James Harden's going to remain out, but Kevin Durant did not play on Tuesday with a thigh injury. We have no idea if he's going to be in or out for today. Kyrie Irving did play Tuesday. We've seen, Brooklyn, they can get weird. They'll rest some guys on back-to-backs. For now, I'm going to assume that Kyrie plays, but it wouldn't be surprising if he gets ruled out here on a back-to-back. But just assuming that Kyrie and KD both play, they're both fine options here. I don't have a problem with either one. Would they stand out as priorities today? Not really. If they're both in, I think they're decent options, but neither one stand out to me. But if we do get a scenario where Kevin Durant is out again, then I do really like Kyrie as a pay-up option. Kyrie kind of disappointed on Tuesday night in a really good matchup against the Pelicans. I'm sure a lot of you played Kyrie. He was very chalky Tuesday. I personally played Kyrie. He was a core play for me, so even though he burned me Tuesday, I would be fine going right back to him today if Kevin Durant is out again. But if Kevin Durant winds up playing, that does lower my interest in Kyrie. But I'm probably not considering any other Brooklyn guys outside of the big two. I just don't think we need to go into any of these secondary pieces from Brooklyn. With so many other games to talk about, and so many other teams that are also kind of shorthanded. But moving on to the Toronto side, really nothing stands out from Toronto. It's a good matchup here against Brooklyn, but Toronto's basically fully healthy. Siakam, Van Vliet, Lowry, all expected to play today. OG Anunoby's expected to play. So I really don't like much here. Everyone's kind of been priced up. Like Siakam was priced up for when Van Vliet and Lowry were out. Now that they're back, I don't really want to pay $8,700 for Siakam. I don't really want to pay $8,200 for Van Vliet. Lowry's okay, but I really just don't like much from Toronto. If these guys were cheaper, I'd have a lot more interest, but at their price points, on a big slate like this, even in a good matchup, none of these Toronto guys really stand out to me as being top options. I just think there's better spots that we can target today. So moving on to the next game, OKC and Indiana. This is one I do have a good amount of interest in, mainly on the Indiana side. But starting off with OKC, Lou Dort right now, I believe, is currently questionable. Yeah, he is currently questionable, which does impact a good amount because right now, Lou Dort is leading this team in usage. He's playing a ton of minutes on a nightly basis. If he does get ruled out, that does make me have a lot more interest in a guy like Kendrick Williams. Kendrick Williams did start last game with Lou Dort out, played 35 minutes, had 28 DK points. He's still relatively affordable. At $4,900, I would definitely have interest in Kendrick Williams from this Thunder team if Lou Dort is out again. Theo Maledon gets a little bump when Dort's off the floor. He had a decent game last game, 29 DK points in 29 minutes. So Maledon and Williams, I both think, are decent options today if Lou Dort's out. Are there any priorities from this OKC team? Probably not, but wouldn't mind going to those two guys if Dort sits. But if Dort plays, overall, I don't see much that stands out from the Thunder. Moving on to the Indiana side, though, this is where we have a lot to talk about. So Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner have both already been ruled out for today, while Jeremy Lamb, Goga Bitadze, and Doug McDermott are all questionable. We know TJ Warren's going to remain out, but yeah, this Indiana team, they're pretty shorthanded today. They're missing basically their two big men, Sabonis and Turner. With Sabonis and Turner both out, I'm assuming that Goga Bitadze starts at center, assuming that he is able to play. He did start at center last game with both Sabonis and Turner out. He only played 23 minutes, though. He did get injured in that game and was not able to return. But even in 23 minutes, he was still really productive, had 7 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 blocks, had 28 DK points in that time. Goga is a really good point per minute player. He's a guy that can just be really productive when he's on the floor. And I would assume that if he starts here, he probably plays around 30 minutes. And at $4,200, he's one of my favorite values today, assuming that he's good to go. Obviously, if he winds up out, then that'll definitely change some things. But for now, I'm going to assume that Goga plays. And if he does, he's one of my favorite values, especially with Sabonis and Turner both out. And then with Sabonis and Turner both out, that benefits guys like Malcolm Brogdon and Karis LeVert. I expect those two guys to really dominate the usage on this team. And I know both of them didn't really have good games last game with Sabonis and Turner out. But, the game blew out. Like, they just didn't have a great game overall as a team. The team only scored 94 points. Malcolm Brogdon himself, shot terribly from the field, 25% from the field, 14% from three. He still managed to score nearly 40 DK points, even with a terrible shooting night. Like, the upside on Malcolm Brogdon is just so high when you take Sabonis and Turner off the floor. He's going to dominate the usage on this team, him and LeVert. At 7,700, the price tag really didn't move. So I think Malcolm Brogdon really looks like a good option today. And I think he might go a bit overlooked with it being such a big slate. With him not really performing that well lately, he's someone I have a lot of interest in. I like him a good amount on both sites. He really stands out on Yahoo. $29 at point guard. Really like him over on Yahoo. And then Caris LeVert I have a lot of interest in as well. I played Caris LeVert last slate whenever Sabonis and Turner got ruled out, and although it didn't really go well for me, I'm fine going right back to LeVert here because we know without Turner, without Sabonis, like the usage on this team is just going to flood to it's going to flood to Brogdon. It's going to flood to LeVert. I expect those to be the two guys that really dominate the usage, take all the shots. We saw that last game. LeVert took almost 20 shots. Brogdon took 20 shots. Like, these guys are going to go out there and chuck. They're going to have the ball in their hands a ton. 7,600. The price tag on LeVert also did not move. He's still very affordable today. So I like both these Pacers guys along with Goga. LeVert looks really good on Yahoo too. His price tag actually went down over there. $32, very affordable. Really like Caris LeVert on Yahoo as well. TJ McConnell, he's a fine option. He should be slightly more productive without Sabonis and Turner, but his minutes don't really increase just because, they still have Brogdon, they still have LeVert. So McConnell's an okay option, but doesn't really stand out to me. But I do want to talk about in the scenario that Goga sits. Like, if Goga gets ruled out today, I assume we see Jakar Sampson start at center. And if Jakar Sampson starts at center, he's minimum salary, $3K. Like, he's not a great point per minute player, but you're getting a starting center, a starting center for minimum salary. He would definitely look like a good value today if Goga sits. Then I think O'Shea Brissett would also benefit without Goga. He played 25 minutes last game. He actually did start last game. I would assume that he starts again regardless. They started him at power forward. I assume he'll start at power forward again, even if Goga plays. But if Goga sits, that just makes me feel even better about O'Shea Brissett. I think you can play O'Shea Brissett regardless, but I would definitely have a lot more interest in him if Goga were to be ruled out. But right now, I'm going to assume that Goga plays, and if that's the case, he's one of my favorite values today. And then I really like Brogdon, and I really like LeVert from this Pacers team. But yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the next game, Phoenix and Philadelphia. So on Phoenix, really nothing stands out from the Suns here. Everyone feels appropriately priced. Devin Booker or Chris Paul have shown upside this season. This does feel like a game where they're going to have to play their full minutes. Booker and Paul have both kind of been, somewhat limited lately just because Phoenix has been blowing everybody out. But this does feel like a game that should stay close. We saw Chris Paul have a huge game last game against Milwaukee. That game stayed close. It went into overtime. You got 53 DK points from Chris Paul in 38 minutes. Sure, you could play these guys in tournaments. You could play DeAndre Ayton in tournaments, but really I don't like much from the Suns team. They're just, other teams I prefer to look to today. And on the Sixers side, for me, it's just a wait and see here. If Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris both play, I really don't like much from Philadelphia. Embiid, I don't even have that much interest in if Simmons and Harris both play. But if we get a scenario where Simmons or Harris, one of them is out, that definitely makes me like Embiid more. And then if we get a scenario where both of them are out, Simmons and Harris, then I really like Embiid. He would definitely be one of my favorite stud options. Embiid was a core play for me last slate once we got the news that Simmons and Harris were both out. And he played really well, as you would expect. 60 Draftkings points in 32 minutes. He was 2 assists shy of a triple-double. Like, the upside on Joel Embiid, it's already massive, but it's even higher when you take Simmons and Harris off the floor. So, going to be a wait and see here. If the Sixers are fully healthy, if Simmons and Harris both play, no interest in anyone on this team for me. But if they're out, I do really like Joel Embiid. And then if we get a scenario where like Simmons is out and Harris plays, that would definitely make me interested in Harris. Or if Harris is out and Simmons plays, you could look to Simmons. But yeah, I think that does it for the Sixers game. We can go ahead and move on to the next one, Utah and Houston. So in Utah here, we do know that Donovan Mitchell is going to remain out. So, with Donovan Mitchell out, that benefits guys like Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles. But all of them have kind of been priced to reflect Mitchell being out. Like, they don't really stand out at their price points. I would say that Conley's probably my favorite at 6,800. He kind of lost minutes last game due to a blowout. Only played 28 minutes, but was really productive. Did have 35 DK points in that time. Jordan Clarkson, last game without Mitchell, played 32 minutes, had 29 DK points. We know he's going to see increased minutes without Mitchell, but again, at 6,600, he kind of feels priced appropriately on a big slate like this. And then Joe Ingles started last game in place of Mitchell, played 32 minutes. I'd assume he starts again and probably plays around 32, around 30 to 32 minutes. So these guys are fine options, but at their price points, none of them really stand out to me. If they were cheaper, I think they would be really good options, but at their prices, they're just low on tournament plays today. My favorite guy from Utah, though, is definitely Mike Conley. I think if I had to play anyone on this team, it would be Mike Conley. But looking at the Houston side here, really don't like anything from the Rockets. The matchup's not good. This is a game that, I forgot to mention, this game definitely has some blowout potential. Right now, what's the line on this game? The line is, right now, Houston, 10.5-point home dogs. This is a game that has some blowout potential, which I guess is a bit worrisome, but I'm not going to really predict a blowout here. I would still be interested in these guys regardless. But overall, nothing from Houston really stands out to me. Even if we get full minutes from Christian Wood and John Wall, at their price tags in a bad matchup, they don't really stand out as top plays today. I would definitely rather play Malcolm Brogdon and Karis LeVert over John Wall today. So my favorite play in this game is probably Mike Conley, but overall, I think this is one that I'm most likely going to be avoiding on this slate. So moving on to the next game, Atlanta and New York on the Hawks side today. This is a back-to-back for the Hawks, so keep an eye on injuries here. John Collins coming back from an injury, so it wouldn't be surprising if he rests or something. But assuming that everyone plays for Atlanta, in a bad matchup against the Knicks, nobody really stands out from Atlanta. Do want to mention Kevin Huerter, though, just because he is pretty cheap on Yahoo. Kevin Huerter's been playing pretty well lately. Still affordable, $13 on Yahoo. He's been getting pretty good minutes. He's played 32. He's played at least 30 minutes in what looks like 7 straight games. He's put up at least 20 fantasy points in 7 straight games. So if you want to go to Kevin Huerter, I don't mind him. He's still pretty cheap on Yahoo, so you could go to him. But overall on DK, nobody from the Hawks stands out today in what is a really bad matchup. There's other studs I prefer over Trae Young. There's other centers I prefer over Capella. So don't really like anyone on the Hawks outside of Huerter on Yahoo. And then on the Knicks side, not much stands out here either. Julius Randle at 10,200 you could look to, but I think today there's other studs I prefer. Westbrook, Curry. We're going to talk about Cat. You got De'Aaron Fox. You got PG without Kawhi. There are just so many studs to pay up for today. Randall's probably going to be towards the bottom of my list. I really don't like much from this Knicks team overall. Overall, this is just not a game I have that much interest in. So moving on to the next game, Miami and San Antonio. Now on Miami today, really tough to break down this team right now until we get news on Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero. All 3 of those guys are currently questionable. If they're all out again, we can look to the guys that really did well last game. Kendrick Nunn, Goran Dragic, even Iguodala I would have interest in. If Precious Achiuwa were to start again, I'd like him quite a bit. But if Jimmy and Bam and Hero, if they all play, I really don't like anybody on Miami. Nobody stands out to me on a big slate like this. So really Miami for me just to wait and see. If Butler and Bam play, not much I really like. But if they're out, then we can look to the guys that we liked last game. Nunn, Dragic, Iggy, Machua if he starts again. So wait and see here for me on the Miami side. But looking at San Antonio, look, I haven't really been playing many Spurs lately. I don't like any Spurs today. Pretty easy team for me. Just overlook, just avoid. There's just so many other better game environments, better teams to target. Everyone on San Antonio feels priced appropriately. Nobody really stands out to me at their price tag. So moving on to the next game, Detroit and Dallas. On Detroit today, if I had to play anyone here from the Pistons, it'd probably be Jeremy Grant, 6,800. Still feels a little bit too cheap. He's kind of been struggling lately. He hasn't really been as good as he was at the beginning of the season, but we know we're going to get big minutes from Jeremy Grant as long as this game stays close. We know he should lead this team in usage. He's been relatively productive this year on a point-per-minute basis. So you could look to Jeremy Grant, I guess. You could maybe play Corey Joseph with Killian Hayes out. But again, this Detroit team, I just don't want to be rostering these guys. Detroit's a team we've been targeting recently because they've had a lot of guys out. But they've got a lot of their guys back today. Really, the only guys that are out are Killian Hayes, Rodney McGruder, and Dennis Smith Jr. But I don't think them being out really affects a ton outside of, Hayes and Smith Jr. being out. That just gives a little bit more minutes to Corey Joseph. But at 5K, do I really want to play Corey Joseph at 5K on a big slate like this? I don't. So nothing from Detroit stands out to me. On Dallas, it's really just Luka and Porzingis. Even on a slate like this, Luka, there's other studs I'd rather play over Luka. Give me Westbrook, give me Curry, give me Towns, give me PG, give me Fox. Give me all these guys we're going to talk about over Luka. Porzingis at 9K, in a good matchup against the Pistons. The Pistons have been killed by big men this year. You could maybe go to Porzingis, but overall, this is another game that I think I'm just kind of going to be avoiding. Nothing really stands out to me. So moving on to the next one, Memphis and LA. So this is one where we do have a lot to talk about. On Memphis, we know that Jonas Valanciunas is going to be out once again. Jaren Jackson Jr. is currently questionable, so this is pretty important. Now, he is yet to play this season. I assume if he does play, he will be on a very strict minutes limit. But if he does come back to play, that's going to muddy things up a little bit. But I do think, we can look to a guy like Xavier Tillman once again. Xavier Tillman was a top value play last slate once we got the news that Valanciunas was out and, Tillman was going to start. And Tillman was really productive, as you would expect. He's been a relatively productive player this year when he gets the minutes. He played 41 minutes in double overtime, had 45 DK points. I don't know if we can expect 45 DK points again from Tillman, but he should play around 28 to 30 minutes. Should be, really, really productive. Should average around a fantasy point per minute. At 4,200, Xavier Tillman still stands out as a top value play to me. He's a guy that I like a good amount on DK, especially because you can play him at power forward. Now on Yahoo, you can also go to Tillman. The only thing that sucks, though, is he's center only, and there's a lot of centers I like on Yahoo today. But if you're looking for a cheap center, along with a guy like Goga, you can definitely go to Tillman, who is $12 on Yahoo. John Morant did have a huge game last game without J-Val. I think Valanciunas and Brooks, they were both out last game. Like, if they're both out again, I think that definitely benefits John Morant. Like, he just gets more usage when you take Valanciunas and Brooks off the floor. John Morant's a guy that I hate playing. Anytime I play him, he sucks. But if we get a scenario where Dillon Brooks is out, along with Valanciunas being out, then I definitely have interest in John Morant today. His price tag didn't even move. He's still $7,200. He'd actually be a pretty solid option in the mid-range at point guard. Kyle Anderson, with Brandon Clark back, that kind of hurts Kyle Anderson enough to where I don't really want to go to him. So really, there's not much that stands out from Memphis. D'Anthony Melton had a huge game off the bench. If Dillon Brooks is out again, you could maybe go to D'Anthony Melton. But for me, Xavier Tillman's the guy that really stands out from Memphis, assuming that he starts again. John Morant, I have some interest in for sure if Dillon Brooks is out. And then if Dillon Brooks is out, you could definitely look to a guy like D'Anthony Melton as well. But that does it for the Memphis side. Now moving on to the Clippers, we got news that Kawhi Leonard, he was out. He was kind of surprisingly ruled out on Tuesday, and it looks like he's going to be out for about a week. So he's going to be out for a good amount of time. And while Kawhi Leonard is out, we know the guys that are going to benefit: Paul George, Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson. Really, though, Paul George, I think, is the guy we want to look to. 9,300 on DK. I think Paul George is one of my favorite studs today with Kawhi Leonard out again. And I do like Paul George a lot on Yahoo. I wouldn't say very affordable, but pretty affordable on Yahoo, $41. If I'm paying up at shooting guard, him and Karis LeVert look like two of the better options. So I do really like PG here. The only thing that's a bit worrisome is that this is a back-to-back for the Clippers, and we have seen that on back-to-backs, like, they will rest Paul George a lot. Honestly, it wouldn't be surprising if Paul George gets rested today, but for now, I'm going to assume that he plays, and if he does play, he's definitely one of my preferred pay-up options with the news that Kawhi Leonard is going to be out again. You could look to guys like Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson if Kawhi's out, but really I think Paul George is the guy that stands out from the Clippers. Marcus Morris, though, on Yahoo, I like a little bit more, just because he's a lot more affordable there, $16. If you're looking for a cheaper power forward, a mid-range option, I think Marcus Morris looks pretty good on Yahoo. But that does it for this game. Moving on to the last two of the night. We'll start off with Denver and Portland. On Denver today, for me, really, it's just Jokic, and that's probably it. Like, I'm probably not going to guys like Michael Porter, Will Barton. On a big slate like this with so many options, I don't see myself playing those guys. But Jokic, I definitely have interest in. You can throw Jokic up there with some of these other studs we've talked about, like Westbrook, Curry. We're going to talk about Cat. I definitely have interest in Jokic. I think he's one of the better pay-up options. The only thing that sucks, again, this is another slate where we have some decent value at center. Tillman, Goga, I like for cheap values, but I think, Jokic just continues to crush on a nightly basis. I don't see any way he does it or any reason why he shouldn't crush again here against Portland. Definitely like Jokic. He's a preferred pay-up option for me up there with Westbrook and Curry. But then on the Portland side, we need to talk about, Damian Lillard, who was out Tuesday. So if Damian Lillard plays today, I really don't like anything for Portland. Yusuf Nurkic was also out Tuesday, but I'm assuming that Nurkic will be back today. That was just for rest purposes. But Lillard, it was injury-related, so maybe he's out again. I don't really know. If Lillard's out again, I'm probably not considering any Portland guys today. Or if Lillard plays, I'm not considering any Portland guys. But if Lillard is out again, definitely like CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum I had interest in on Tuesday night. I'd be fine going right back to McCollum today if Lillard's out again. And then Norman Powell also gets a bump without Lillard. I'd have some interest in him. At their price points, I don't think either one would stand out as like core plays today, but they would definitely be guys I'd want to have in my player pool. But obviously, I'm only going there if Lillard sits. So that's just news we got to wait and see on. But that's probably it. Like, I mean, Anthony Simons you can maybe go to if Lillard's out, but on a big slate like this, I'm probably not going to be playing Anthony Simons when we just have, better value. And we're probably going to have even better value open up as the day goes on. So yeah, we'll go ahead and talk about Minnesota and Sacramento. These teams are playing once again on Wednesday. They played on Tuesday. Right now, that game is being played at a super fast pace. A ton of points scored in that game on Tuesday night. Don't see any reason why we shouldn't expect the same here on Wednesday. These are two very fast-paced teams, two teams that don't play much defense. We should see another high-scoring game Wednesday between these two teams. So starting off on the Minnesota side, Karl-Anthony Towns in a great matchup, again against Sacramento, I think looks like a really good option. Do I play Towns over Jokic or Westbrook or Curry? That's where I, run into issues. Like, it's tough to play Towns over Jokic just because Jokic is a better point per minute player. Jokic also is probably going to play a few more minutes, but I think Towns is a pretty good pay-up option here in a great matchup against the Kings. Don't mind Anthony Edwards. He's having a pretty decent game right now as of the time I'm recording this video. You can maybe go to him at 7,100. Now, D'Angelo Russell I do want to talk about. He had a huge game off the bench, or at least as I'm recording this video, he's having a huge game off the bench Tuesday night against Sacramento. They did say that they were going to have his minutes limit increased, and he's on pace to play, I believe, around 30 minutes. I'll check real quick just to pull this up, see what he's doing as of now. So as of the time I'm recording this video, the third quarter is about to end. It's 95-96 right now between these two teams with the third quarter about to end. D'Angelo Russell's played 20 minutes, has 26 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Like, he's having a really good game Tuesday night. He's on pace to play around 30 minutes. Assuming that Russell's going to play today and he's going to get around 30 minutes again, I actually have some interest in him just because we know Russell's a really productive player when he does get minutes. The matchup's fantastic. I want him to be starting, but if they're going to play him 30 minutes regardless, then I think he's definitely in play, even if he comes off the bench again. Those are probably my two favorite plays from Minnesota, Towns and Russell. But outside of those two guys and maybe Edwards, I don't see too much else I like on the Timberwolves today. Now, talking about the Kings, a decent amount I like here. De'Aaron Fox at 10K. Right now he's not having the best game. He's only got 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. For some reason, he's only played 18 minutes, which is kind of weird. The third quarter is about to end, and he's only played 18 minutes, but I think we can definitely look to go to Fox today. Now, do I play Fox over guys like Westbrook, Curry, Jokic that we talked about? Probably not. I'd rank those guys ahead of Fox, but in a good matchup and what should be a high-scoring game once again, I think Fox is a decent pay-up option on this slate. Barnes and Hield, though, I don't have much interest in. Whiteside, I do want to talk about. So Whiteside started again on Tuesday, and as of the time I'm recording this video, he's played 19 minutes heading into the fourth quarter. We'll have to see how many minutes he gets to finish off the game, but I do want to mention Whiteside on Yahoo because he remains super affordable there. He's only $12. One of the reasons I don't like Tillman as much on Yahoo is because you have Whiteside at the same salary, and Whiteside's just a guy that I love playing. I mean, he's such a good point per minute player. In the 19 minutes he's played Tuesday, he has 12 points, 6 rebounds. I mean, he's on pace to, we'll see how many minutes he plays, but he's on pace to get around mid-20s minutes. If he does get around mid-20s minutes once again on Wednesday here, very likely that he pays off this cheap $12 salary on Yahoo. So assuming that Whiteside starts again, I'll have a lot of interest in him on Yahoo. Now, on DK, not as much interest just because he's been priced up to $6,200, but he's still super cheap on Yahoo. I like him a lot more there. Then DeLon Wright, I do want to mention. DeLon Wright's been playing really well off the bench. He's having another pretty decent game on Tuesday night. If they're going to continue to give DeLon Wright like 25, 30 minutes off the bench in a good matchup for 4,100, I think DeLon Wright's actually a pretty decent value play today. So my favorite plays from Sacramento are definitely De'Aaron Fox, DeLon Wright, and Hassan Whiteside on Yahoo. But that probably does it for this Kings team for me. So I think that does it for all 12 games today, guys. I tried to go as quick as I could, break down everything. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below before you do get out of here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I go live. Once again, should be live streaming Wednesday afternoon around 4:30 Eastern time. If you guys do want to check my YouTube channel then, should be live breaking down the slate, answering all your guys' questions. So yeah, best of luck on the slate, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.